All right, welcome. We're into Module 1, and Module 1 is going to help you determine when it's time to leave. And that's something that at times is very difficult because we don't really know when it's time to leave. We haven't been used to listening to the inner self, the inner GPS, as I call it. A lot of times when we first come into a heavy duty religion like Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormon or whatever it is, we're told that this is the truth. We're told this is the way. These are our props. This is our literature. This is our special Bible. This is our special organization. And actually, in the beginning, it's kind of fun. You've got a new family. You're going to church. You're getting to know people. It's really great. You actually got a wonderful family, and you're going out to eat together. You're worshiping together. And life is really good. You're learning things. Like for us in the Jehovah's Witnesses, we started going out door to door together. We were having success and overcoming objections at the door. We were giving talks, and then we were progressing and becoming ministerial servants, which I was for a year. And it was just an amazing experience. The elders loved me. I loved them. We were all like one big happy family. And then I really, really started to get serious about this truth that I was into, and I was very excited because we were so close to the end. We would go to the door and say, "Nation rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom." We'd read Matthew and all these different scriptures, and we'd say, "These are the signs of the time," which I'm sure they are. And but I was really excited because the witnesses had pretty much an exact date. One of them was 1975, and I'm only going to talk with what I'm familiar about. My dad was in the 1975 prophecy that was given to us by the Watchtower, that it would be 6,000 years from the world's beginning until 1975, and then the end was going to come, and lots of people sold their houses, and I didn't think I was going to drive, and all these things were happening, and my dad was just, he just allowed himself to get really, really big and heavy, and so many things happened, but we put our whole lives on hold in 75. Now, I really wasn't geared into it that much in 75. My dad was. I was sort of, going through my teenage years, and I sort of drifted out a little bit. But my dad watched it go by, and he watched it pass, and we never really thought nothing about it. So after the 75 prophecy, near the late 70s, I really got back into what we call the truth. And I was in what they call the generation prophecy. That said that the generation, it was based on the information in Matthew, that said this generation will by no means pass away until all these things occur. So, and it was nation rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, food shortages, earthquakes, and all this stuff would happen in one generation. So man, I was out preaching and talking about Matthew and getting all excited. And all of a sudden, the Watchtower, excuse me, started to change. The Watchtower, a new article came out about the generation, and the generation isn't a generation as we knew it. And it started to change its idea on the generation. And so remember now, I'm over the honeymoon phase of the witnesses. I'm really, truly dedicated to Jehovah, and I really believe this is the truth. So I'm believing this generation ideal with everything that I have. I mean, hook, line, and sinker. I am preaching. And all of a sudden, the Watchtowers come out and they start to change. And they said, we have new information on the generation prophecy. And we're going to go to the assembly, and they're going to give out new books and new understanding on the generation prophecy. Well, interiorly, I was shattered. I was busted to pieces. Like, what are they talking about? What are they saying? Is this the organization that said this was good news after 75 and the generation thing was good news? And I was so living it. It's all I can say is I was so living it. But according to my religion, we do not question the faithful and discreet slave. They're Jehovah's organization on earth. We don't question anything, which means we don't listen to ourselves. We don't listen to that thing inside of us that said, they just lied. They just made a mistake. We're not used to tuning into what I call an inner GPS or the still small voice or whatever you want to call it. But there was definitely a voice of frustration that was inside that I buried. I buried it. I said, okay, whatever. We went and got the new information from the assembly, and it said, they basically rewrote the idea on the generation and said, well, the generation wasn't a generation as we know it of 70 or 80 years from 1914 to the, mid to late 80s. And it's not going to come in that time frame. So it's going to be later. It's going to be a little later because we don't want to encapsulate a generation like this. And Jehovah's given us more bright light. Well, something inside of me captured that lie. Something inside of me held on to that. Now, what happened was I wasn't in touch with it. I wasn't in touch with the still small voice. I wasn't in touch with the fact that somebody had lied to me. I had closed my eyes completely and my mind completely because my mind said, this is Jehovah's organization. Just follow. Just keep your eyes shut. Don't ask anybody anything. Just follow. Sheeple. So I was your typical Jehovah's Witness sheeple. They're the organization. They tell me, I just listen and I just follow. But you know what? Something happened. There was a discontent that started to happen to me. I started to get angry. I started to get frustrated. I started to get hopeless. I started to say, I don't know if we have the truth anymore. I was in the back seat of a car and I was going out door to door with the brothers, and I literally took the magazines and I threw them. I'll tell you, it was automatic. I said, this is not Jehovah's. And I threw them on the floor. And I was with a heavy duty guy, the presiding overseer. And I thought to myself, what did that? What was this part of me that just threw these things and said, this is not truth. This is a lie. This is not good news. And I picked them up and dusted them off. And then I started to realize something's going on. Something's going on inside me. I don't know what it is. So what I did was I started tuning in. I said, I'm pissed off. These guys lied to me. They lied to all these millions of people. And you know what was even worse? They didn't even apologize. They didn't even apologize. They got it wrong. They got the date wrong. And they just went on and they expected me just to follow, but I couldn't follow. So what I did was I started going online and doing research. And I says, oh my God, they not only failed in the generation prophecy, but they failed in the 1975 prophecy, and all the way back to the 1800s. They have been prophesying. And I said, oh my God. And so out of that, I had a crisis of conscience. It was like, I'm done. I can't continue on with this. They lied. They don't care. And if I dare say anything, they'll throw me away. So it was obviously time to leave. But now the question was, how? Where do I go? I've got a head full of ideas that I believe. I believe God's name's Jehovah. I believe this was his organization. I believe we're the only ones in the world that don't take blood. We're the ones that don't go to war. We're the ones that are right and everybody's wrong. I had tons of these. I had thousands of them in me, thousands. And I needed to get free. So you talk about being in a bind. Where do I go? How do I leave? They're going to throw me away. They're going to cut off my family. What do I do? Where do I go? How do I do it? That is what I'm going to cover in the next video. How do you leave? How do you go about it? Do you drift away? Do you cut yourself off? What is it that you do? The next video after that, the next module, will be how to get these hooks out, how to get all these things that have got you tied and bound to this organization that's been impregnated in you, inculcated in you, driven into you for years and years and years from this ideology that they keep tooting over and over from Brooklyn Bethel. We have the truth. God's name Jehovah. Over and over and over. How do I get this out of my head? How do I clear my head? How do I move forward? That's what I'm going to share with you, and that's what I'm excited to share, because you can get free, you can move forward, and you can live a productive life again. And I'm so excited to be sharing it with you, because if I can be a vessel to help you turn this around and to find new life and new purpose, I'm so looking forward to doing it. So get ready for module 2, okay? And module 2 is how do we leave this thing? How do we part ways? Thank you.